What up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Film Bros podcast. I'm your host, JP. This is my co-host, Josh.
Hello.
And we're back. We're back to bring you the review of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Now the Black Panther. Wakanda will fall.
Awesome.
We got the pleasure of watching it this weekend. We're about to run down what we liked, what we didn't like. So before we get started, just so everybody knows, this is a spoiler review. If you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and leave, save this podcast, and come back to it later. We're going into spoiler territory.
Yeah, just full warning. We know we gave everyone the weekend to go see it and stuff, but now we're gonna be talking about spoilers, so do that.
Yeah. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us at FilmBros Podcast on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. If you see us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, all our episodes aren't there right now. We know. Don't ask questions about it. We're all on YouTube. You can watch them all from episode 0 or epilogue or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Twitter, and TikTok, Film Bros Podcast.
With that, we're about to get started. So, if you're still here, what are you doing here? Get out of here. It's a spoiler review. So, Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 84% with the audience score being at a 95%. People seem to like the movie. I personally thought it was good. I did not think it was great. It was a good MCU movie, but there was some really good things about the movie, and then there were some really funky looking things that kind of took me out of it. What did you think? Our first initial watch.
I did like it. Really good. I honestly felt this one had a lot of heart and integrity. Honestly, this one felt like if you weren't watching, kind of like how I said with Werewolf by Night, like if you didn't know Black Panther was an MCU movie, I don't think you'd understand that this movie was MCU. Ryan Coogler got the freedom to really dove deep into his vision and stuff without interference from Kevin Feige. No real connection to the MCU, I think, other than them referencing the snap once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I liked it. Really good. Really good. Probably my favorite Phase 4 movie. Really good.
Okay. Yeah, this movie has great performances. It had just amazing everything. The tribute to Chadwick Boseman was great. Letitia Wright, Shuri, she gave out a great performance. I also liked Ironheart. Riri, she was pretty cool in there too. Did not like the CGI so much, the suit, but we'll get into that later. Okoye, she had like the best acting chops. Like between her and what's the queen's name? What Rosanda, right? I am butchering. Ramonda. Oh yeah, Angela Bassett. Oh my gosh, the way that she was able to give the performances, like between her and Okoye, with showing that love with Shuri, like that was great. I thought it was a breath of fresh air that we had, like that mom to daughter kind of relationship thing in this movie, because in a lot of the other movies it's always daddy issues. You got Thor with his dad, Tony with his dad, Bruce with his dad. You know what I mean? So it's good to see a little bit different things within this movie.
Yeah, it's really good. I really did like that relationship too. It's weird you bring that up because when T'Chaka died in Civil War, it only really felt like T'Challa was affected.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't really see how Shuri reacted or the mom, because that was way before the first one.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They rarely bring him up too, so it's not a big deal because it's a lot more focused on the mom. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship. A lot of good acting done. You were so right there. Like Okoye, Shuri, Riri Williams, the Queen, even from Tanakh, like they all seem to like bring their A game. Even M'Baku, like they were all really good in this movie. Like I don't think anyone really fell short.
Yeah, no. Namor, hands down, has to be one of the better villains within the MCU. The way that he brought that character to life. I know everybody says it, but the representation was great right there. It was all that was just the acting was great. The action scenes, they were cool. There was one that really stood out for me: Okoye versus the Blue Goons when they were on that bridge, and she was just being a badass, and even met her match. That was like insane for me. That was actually pretty cool in that movie. But yeah, there was a lot of standout stuff within that movie that just it was a good addition to the MCU, I'd say. Decent.
Yeah, it was good. A lot of the action scenes were pretty. I liked them. I thought they were pretty good. Like my favorite was probably the one. Again, spoilers. My favorite was the one where the assault on Wakanda, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one was really good. Like I really liked seeing Namor like he was pretty much like drifting through the air. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, when he was flying with his wings too.
Yeah, like he was dope. I really liked his action scenes. A lot of his scenes. Every time he showed up, I was like, oh man, shit's about to go down, because you actually felt like he was a menace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Okoye fight was pretty good. I didn't like that. It's really good that she got to be like a main part of the movie, because she's really good.
Yeah, and especially when she gives that, like I said, between her and Angela Bassett, like that encounter when they were talking, the performances they gave, man, it was great. And M'Baku, I wish they would have gave M'Baku a little bit more screen time. Like I feel like he could have been in there a little bit more, but I mean, what we got from him was pretty great too, so I can't complain about that one.
Yeah, no, he did really good in this movie too. I'm telling you, I don't think there's any acting performance here where I thought they fell short or like didn't hold par with everyone else. Like they all really brought their A game. You know what I mean? From like small roles to even the bigger roles, I think they all just brought it.
Yeah, it was a good movie. And that's where it's gonna. Every good movie has some flaws, right? This one, a little bit noticeable on a few of them. Do you have any flaws you want to share? That you would have thought within the movie?
Not really. Like I don't know. I'm more of like a positive kind of person. You know that. So like I like to look at things more positively. Mm-hmm. From a negative standpoint, I guess I probably guess CGI maybe.
CGI.
That was probably it.
Yeah.
Seeing Ironheart, the last battle, like you could tell that they were kind of running low, but they still had to do their job and pretty much CGI everything,
Yeah.
But I think that was probably it. I don't think I have any other really like negatives other than that.
One thing I gotta say, like I said, the action was, in my opinion, was kind of. It was kind of weak in this movie, considering what we got earlier this year with like Shang-Chi, what was another one? And Multiverse of Madness too. We got some pretty good action. Falcon and Winter Soldier, like that one was pretty good too. Like we got some really groundbreaking action scenes, and this one, like the best one that I could think was really Okoye's. There was a couple other ones too, like The one in the warehouse, but I mean, in my opinion, it could have gone a little bit differently too. Uh, it, I don't know. What do you think about the action scenes?
Oh well, I like them. I don't think there's anything too bad about them. I know this movie. Like I probably understand why you think that because again, a lot of the MCU movies you said before did have a lot of action, but this movie was a lot more about grieving and the relationships about grieving. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like action comes with the story, obviously, but a lot of it was focused on that grief and stuff. So I don't really have a real problem with the fighting, I guess. Because it all felt very like fluid, I guess. That each scene led into another, like kind of well, I think.
When it came like to with the grief part, or
No, yeah, from like they did really well from T'Challa's memorial to like the next scene and then the next scene and then oh, we're still mourning and stuff, but you know the story has to throw in some action in there,
now,
so they throw in action.
I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking or nothing like that, but it did kind of point out to me. So why didn't they want to like figure out, in my opinion, like why didn't, because in the beginning of the movie I thought it was going to go somewhere else with the story. Why didn't they worry more about the virus that killed T'Challa? Like, in my opinion, if there was something so bad that not even, what was that herb called, the purple heart, or
Yeah, the purple herb.
yeah, the purple herb, what was so powerful there that it it just bypassed all of that? I didn't if that was the case, why weren't they more worried of the disease that killed them and what could it have done? You know what I mean? So like I kind of felt like they didn't really give us an explanation with that. Like they kind of just jumped straight to the grieving process, which I kind of get, but then it kind of jumped to something else right after that, beginning with that kind of beautiful, like when it was all quiet with Chadwick Boseman and everything, and it kind of just moved the story along. And I was kind of like, well, I kind of wanted to know what happened with him. Why didn't the herb help him? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. Well, the herbs were pretty much gone. You know what I mean? They were burning the first one and stuff, and they probably weren't thinking about making an artificial one. And you saw the way I'm assuming it was some form of like cellular degeneration, because there was no way of a new heart would have helped him or anything like that, because the cells were just dying fast. You could tell from the scene in the beginning where she was pretty much trying to get the algorithm right, but it just kept failing, I think. So I can see where you're coming from, but I think for the most part I get it.
Yeah, but he had the herb inside of him. Why didn't he? Why wasn't that keeping him alive already? If that's what she needed, he already had it inside of him. So why would that have helped him, but not what he had inside of him already?
Yeah, I don't know. They just didn't explore all that. I don't know. It's not like that's a bit nitpicky, I think, because like that's not something you should really focus on. It's the fact that they lost him. There's nothing else they could do, and they just had to move on. That's what the movie was about: grieving and moving on. Why need focus on?
I kind of feel like they owed us an explanation.
I don't think so.
I think they could have told us a little bit more, and that's what I mean. That I believe that's a kind of a flaw, because how are you going to introduce this disease that will kill somebody with the purple herb, but won't want to follow that up within the movie or figure that out, or who killed him, or maybe he got stuck by something that deteriorated. You know what I mean? Like they could have went somewhere else with it and show that grieving process, and maybe. And like I said, in my opinion, I thought it was going to be like somebody stuck him with something, and then, she was going to go on this revenge trip or whatever. And then that, in my opinion, that would have made the whole Killmonger thing kind of hit a little bit better, in my opinion, because you remember when he jumped out, came out in the dream world or whatever. And then eventually would have led up to being a noble person and, letting it go and finally moving on. But they kind of just said, he's dead now. Now let's introduce you to the side characters real quick and start putting them in the movie.
No, man, I don't know.
Look,
I'm not agreeing with you on this one.
no, you can't.
No.
But why can't you agree with me?
Well, because like I said, that just sounds a bit like nitpicky. I think because again, it's not about what killed him; it's that they lost him regardless, and there was nothing that they can do. Where the whole point of the scene in the spirit world where she meets Killmonger instead of her family and ancestors is because she was being driven by vengeance and stuff like that, like he was for his people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the point. It wasn't just like in Civil War when T'Challa was being overtaken by vengeance and he almost killed what was his name? The bad guy in Civil War.
But who was trying to get vengeance in this one?
She on after Namor kills her mom and stuff. That's what pretty much her connection with Killmonger was all about. Vengeance and getting back for her people.
Yeah, but where is that energy for T'Challa?
What do you mean?
That's what I'm saying.
That doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? There was a disease that killed him that nobody knows about, and it was able to get past the blue herb or the purple herb, whatever it is supposed to be. That's what my point is that we deserved, in my opinion, we deserved an explanation, and it would have, instead of just pushing the movie on and pushing the movie forward, it would have been different if they would have gave us a little bit more backstory, or at least told us, hey, we're looking for this disease or something. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to just say, oh, he's dead now and move on?
Because, again, it's not about what killed him. It's that they lost him and there was nothing they could do.
Oh, there you guys go. So what do you guys think? Do you think that we were owed an explanation, or do you think I'm nitpicking? Go ahead and let us know at FilmBros podcast on Twitter, and then on YouTube, FilmBros podcast. Go ahead and leave us a comment there as well. Another thing that I was this is kind of what I wanted in the movie. Maybe it was an expectation, but I felt like we could, with Namor, I feel like we got a good backstory, but the whole mutant part, I would have liked them to have digged a little bit deeper with the whole mutant side as well. Because they kind of touched up on it, but then they kind of had to keep the movie going and stuff like that. So that's probably another nitpicky thing as well, but what do you think? Do you think that we should have went a little bit more deeper within the whole mutant thing with Namor and all that?
Maybe. I mean, I can see what you mean, but like, I don't know. I think it was probably just a name drop for the sake of name dropping it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know he's a mutant in the comics and stuff, and the fact that he's the first mutant now recorded in the MCU,
mm-hmm.
like, it's just to start setting the expectation of like, oh, now they're starting to appear. Like, what the fuck is a mutant? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, sure, we could have gotten a little bit more in depth about it, but again, I'm not really too bothered by it because, it was probably just serve as like a name drop for the future of where they're taking mutants and stuff. In my opinion, like when things were getting good with like Namor and stuff like that, and we're getting more of the backstory, I kind of felt like that was kind of pushed back to the side to kind of put that whole grief thing front and center as well, and kind of push that drive a little bit forward. Do you kind of feel that way, or what do you think? Well, yeah, I can, not so much like an ignoring kind of thing, but the movie is driven by that whole emotion and how to deal with it and get over it. And while because in that scene they even touch upon it where he's talking to Sherry and stuff, in his kingdom and whatnot. But like, it's about grieving and stuff. But at the same time, his goal isn't, you know, isn't really. He, from his standpoint, he hasn't. Or well, not that I can remember anyway. That he's not grieving. He just wants to protect his people at any cost.
Yeah.
And while Sherry is trying to, you know, sympathize and be like, "Oh, I get that. Like we were secluded for whatever." It's just about making that connection. But the movie is generally about just grieving and stuff. So I can, like, again, I see what you mean. But
I guess a good way I can articulate it, I just thought about it, is that I kind of feel like the story was kind of spread a little thin. You know, we had the whole main storyline with grief and everything, and then we had Namor attached to it, and then we had Riri in there as well. We had M'Baku's little thing on the side. We had Okoye's little thing on the side. We had Martin Freeman. What was his name in the movie? Everett, and his well, we found her that Valentine was his wife. So Valentina. So I mean, that's cool too, but it kind of felt like, you know, it wasn't necessary, and we could have let the light shine a little bit more on the other cast and the main topics, and, you know, maybe squeeze in Namor a little bit more and stuff like that. Because, like I said, I kind of felt like it was just too much happening, and they were trying to focus here, focus there, and everything. And I kind of feel like that what kind of affected the story, and I didn't think it flowed that well with the story. I kind of felt like the pacing was kind of weird as well, because of the fact that they had all these different stories going on at one time. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said before, I thought it all flowed kind of naturally. Like it wasn't just, oh, she's sad, let's move on to the big action piece. It was more like, no, like there's reasons that it led into every scene and stuff. Like it's not just Namor attacking Wakanda. Like there's motives behind that prior that they set up for him to go and do what he does. I thought it flowed pretty well. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can't agree with you on that one. I kind of felt like the pacing was kind of off. There was times where I was very invested, and then it kind of just dropped for me, and it was, like I said, it was because of those. Maybe it was just mostly because of some of the extra stuff that was put in that kind of prolonged it. You know what I mean? And how you were saying earlier, to touch up on it a little bit, how you were saying like it felt kind of disconnected, and I kind of feel like that's the issue that Marvel's been having a little bit, is that whole disconnect. Don't get me wrong, like having its own separate thing once in a while is good, but at the same time, like, you know, if you're building upon a greater universe, like T'Challa dying, I could have felt like a couple of the Avengers would have been there to say goodbye. You know what I mean? He was around. He knew the people. I know that Martin Freeman and Valentina were supposed to be the two to kind of be that continuity and be like, hey, well, you know, they're in this movie. Ooh, my bad. They're in this movie. You know, so they're obviously part of the greater MCU, but I kind of felt like they could have did a little bit more to pay a little bit more tribute to Chadwick Boseman's passing by having a little bit, you know, a couple. I don't want to sound like somebody that just needs cameos, but it would have just showed a little bit more if, you know, maybe Clint was there. You know, they had that little goofy thing in Civil War. I would have thought, you know, it would have been something.
I don't know. I don't think he really like got along with any of the Avengers like that. Like he joined pretty much when they split and stuff, and then his home became a battleground. So I don't think there was really any time to like bond. You know what I mean? If anything, the only person I could see being there is Bucky. That's probably it.
Bucky as well, yeah.
But I don't think Clint or, you know, anyone else like that would have been able to make it other than Bucky. But if Bucky would have showed up, I would have been like, okay, that makes sense, because, you know, he taught him how to move on and let go and, you know, gave him the
Mm-hmm.
name White Wolf and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's probably the only person I can see. And then you're right, we do get Valentina and Martin, the only the only white people in the cast and whatnot, which is kind of funny to me. I don't know. Like I don't have a problem with that. Like I'm really enjoying the fact that that because of the disconnection a little bit, it's allowing them to just, make their movies without being like tied to a schedule or Kevin Feige breathing down their necks and stuff. Because if you wanted that, you get Multiverse of Madness. You can go back and rewatch all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Moon Knight, whatever else.
And like, I don't know. That whole Martin Freeman and Valentina thing, in my opinion, could have been completely cut. Did it work for the movie? Yeah, sure. But in my opinion, it would have saved some time and maybe, added a little bit more focus to the main overall story. Because in my opinion, they didn't really need to be there, but I guess it was good that they were there.
Well, Martin's been in it since Civil War, so like, the only one I can imagine not being in it is Valentina, but they brought her in because she's supposed to be like Nick Fury's total opposite and bring in the Thunderbolts and stuff.
Yeah. And another thing I think was a big a thing for me as well was I felt like I was watching a movie full of side characters, not gonna lie. I was sitting there and I was like, man, well, who's gonna be, who's gonna step up and be the main character? And like Shuri's character kind of did a whole 180, which I understand, with the grief and everything, it probably changed her because she was that comic relief, in the first Black Panther, and for her to go from that to being the leading role and having all that, performance, she did a really good job with the performance. I'm not saying that it was bad, but it just seemed like, there was no Black Panther. You know what I mean? Black Panther was absent in a Black Panther movie. You know what I mean?
I think that all comes down to the story they just wanted to tell, which I think it worked. We know obviously it's Shuri that's the main character. Side characters are who they usually are. Supporting actress was Okoye. Antagonist was Namor. Like I don't know. I didn't have a problem kind of like navigating who was really the main character and stuff, because it was all about Shuri and her relationships with these people and will she take up the mantle or not. But we know she does. It was just a matter of when and how, because she was still very much grieving throughout the movie and stuff. Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more Black Panther and a Black Panther movie. It would have been in my opinion, it would have helped with the movie a little bit more, because like I said, you need a main person. And don't get me wrong, I know that there was that whole thing of don't recast T'Challa, but I think that they should have just recasted him. I think that they should have moved forward with the story and just had him, a new person to fit the shoes. But, they went the route that they did. I'm not complaining about it. I just, it just made it hard to watch this movie without having somebody be in that role as Black Panther,
I think, I don't know. I thought it was fine. Like, it would have been cool to have him again, but that's just not the story they wanted to tell. I think it really connected the fact that they had no protector and stuff. So the world was kind of like, oh shit, they have no Black Panther protecting their vibranium. Let's get in on it. But obviously, you had the Dora Milaje protecting it and stuff, loyal to the Wakanda hierarchy and whatnot.
Speaking of that, I really liked that they put more of the Wakanda and like politics in there in the beginning. Like when, like I said, Angela and what's her name? Angela Bassett, like the way that she was just sitting there like listening to their bullshit. Oh, we never take anything that you want. And then she just dragged in the whole SEAL Team 6 that France came in. Well, because it's true. If you got something that the US wants, they're going to go and they're going to, go ahead and try to take it. US, anybody that feels like it's for everybody, they're going to go, they're going to try to take it. I really liked how they represented the politics side in this movie for sure.
Yeah, couldn't get that if you had Black Panther in it. They touch upon it in the first one a little bit, opening the borders and stuff, and then in Infinity War again they talk about it, but Okoye is like, oh, when we talked about opening our borders, we thought it would be like putting in a Starbucks, like haha moment, and then they touch upon it again in this one, which is really good. And again, they were struggling. They thought they were powerless because they had no Black Panther, but it showed that even without the warrior like that, Wakanda will always be protected. Vibranium will still be protected, no problem.
Yeah, that I really like that part. That part was, that was really good for me. I liked seeing that. They need to do more of that. Show a little bit more of the, in my opinion, the political side, especially with Wakanda, because they're obviously trying to be controlled, and or not controlled, but at least become allies and give up vibranium, which is kind of weird. I thought they had some kind of access. I mean, Captain America's shield was made out of vibranium, so I mean, yeah, not nitpicking. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I just think that it's really cool, but it just popped some questions in my head.
That was back in World War II, man. They found that shit. They had no idea Stark made it, and then it was just Steve's. Hell, they didn't even know a good chunk of it landed in the water. Like,
yeah, that's true too. And I liked how they handled the whole Namor. I like how they handled the whole Namor and like, what's the Telecon? Yeah, down there.
Yeah,
Atlantis.
Their water scenes were so beautiful. Like when he was showing her the whole place and the song was playing, I was like, "This is really fucking dope." Like,
yeah, it was great. I still think because of the CGI, it kept it from being like perfect. Like I said, I kind of felt like some of the underwater scenes in Aquaman were a little bit better than in this one, but I think that's chalked up to the whole CGI VFX budgeting stuff. So kind of wanted to just nitpick that too.
Aquaman did a lot of cool stuff, but we're not here to talk about that.
One thing that bringing the whole politics and everything involved, my thing was with Riri, in my head I was just thinking, man, if she's the only person in this world that can build a vibranium detector, and she's just some college kid, wouldn't the U.S. government have like swooped her up by now? Been like, oh, there's other people that are trying to take our technology and trying to find the person that's doing it. Wouldn't they have swooped her up a long time ago and been like, you know what? We need to keep her under wraps. She's over here, she's building stuff for us, and we don't want her in the wrong hands. Let me, help her out. Why'd they kind of just leave her out there?
Oh, she wasn't building it for them. She did it as a little science project and then turned it into their teacher. And I'm assuming the teacher was the one that was taken from, and he reported it and whatever else. Because it's another thing of like taken from an African American, not it was another thing to play on the fact that taking it from an African American, not giving it the proper credit or nothing, and then it led to Namor being like, oh well, now I'm gonna kill the scientist having no idea that it even happened. It was just another thing to be like, hey, the government's still gonna fuck with you, you know what I mean, without you knowing.
Yeah, but if the government knew where it came from, they should have been like, wow, she's as smart, if not as smart as Tony Stark. Maybe we should, chop it up with her. Make sure that she's good, that she's on our side. Maybe we should, give her a job over here so she can help us, build something,
Yeah, no, the government isn't going to do that. It's going to take it, not give credit to whoever, and then use it behind her back. That's just how it is. There's no other way to put it. The government's been doing that forever, so.
And it's going to bring me to my last flaw. and I was kind of thinking about this, and you heard me talk about this after the movie as well. I'm not saying the whole baby thing at the end of the movie, the mid-credit scene, was bad or anything like that. I appreciate that they are gonna eventually do something with Black Panther and T'Challa. You know what? Scratch that. This ain't the last thing. I got more. But why was it that I just felt it was weird that they didn't tell Shuri. She was grieving for a whole year and they didn't even tell Shuri anything. Why they told it, and it wouldn't have been so weird, but they even told the queen, which is her mother, and saw how Shuri was taking it. And I understand that, I understand the whole keeping them a secret and stuff like that for the pressures of the throne. I get that too, because it sounds like something T'Challa would want to do. But I just don't understand why keep it a secret from Shuri and why, make it into this, like it would have made more sense if they were as close as they were, that she would have known about him the whole time. They literally were spending the whole movie telling us they are so close. They love each other. If they love each other so much, why didn't she know about the baby?
Because I think you got it. Because for the sake of the throne and who knows, that baby probably wouldn't have given her the what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? I guess the potential to grieve or something like that. Like what? It probably would have just been another secret she wasn't ready for on top of her grieving process. You know what I mean? Like, if they were that close, why didn't she tell them? Like you said, because it probably would have been a problem on top of her grieving. Like, she probably wouldn't have handled it well. And it wasn't until she was ready to move on and burn the robes when she was like, okay, she's clearly over it and trying to move forward. It's time to meet him, because now she's able to meet him in a clear headspace.
I feel like T'Challa would have told Shuri about him. I feel like if they were as close as they were making him out to be throughout the whole movie, T'Challa would have said something as soon as the baby was born. Would have been like, keep it a secret, keep it under wraps, because, I don't want people to know, and I don't want people to know that there's an heir to the throne and stuff like that, blah, 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 until it's time. But I think T'Challa would have told her. I believe if they are as close as they were making them out to be throughout the whole movie, he would have told her.
I don't think so.
Why would we're brothers? You think that I wouldn't have told you about one of my children?
Well, no. I mean, that's different.
What do you mean?
If you, what do you call it?
We're not gonna say about me, but I'm just saying, what's the difference? It's just
different because
if Shuri and T'Challa were brother and sister, and they loved each other as much as they did, as they were making it out the same throughout the whole movie, I 100% believe that he would have told her about the baby that he was going to have and had.
Nah, man, I don't know. I don't think so.
How old was that kid? Like 10 years? 5? 10? Something like that?
He probably had him during the blip another year. Yeah, he probably around there, I guess. I guess so. I don't
know, man. I kind of felt like... What do you guys think? Let us know at FilmBros Podcast on Twitter. Or leave a comment on our YouTube. Let us know. I kind of felt like he would have told her. Another question mark for me was Shuri as Black Panther. Why is she Black Panther? I feel like there were so many other options. M'Baku. I felt like the girl that rescued her, she gave a great performance as well. What was her name? Lupita Nakia, the mother of T'Challa's baby. I feel like, she single-handedly just saved the princess. She was right there. I would have thought, the person that is good at fighting, combat, stuff like that, was going to go ahead and take that mantle. But they just gave it to Shuri, which I get it, the meaning behind it. Yes, brother and sister, but it would have made more sense in my opinion. Excuse me, in my opinion, if we would have gave it to an actual warrior who can defend, because she's just a scientist. I would have never thought, hey, you know what? Let's give the protection, like even without it, because there's that in the first Black Panther they established that you need to be able to do hand-to-hand combat in order to keep the throne, because anybody can challenge you. Who do you think that she's gonna be able to save the keep the how is she gonna keep the throne? If M'Baku were to like challenge her, he could have easily just taken it. I could have felt like they could have given it to somebody else.
I thought they were gonna spin this for a loop for a cool minute, and thought it was gonna be her as well, Nakia. But I was kind of like, well, by the end of the movie, I was like, oh, it makes sense. She's kind of a mother and doesn't even want to. She was away from Wakanda and stuff. That's not really her place, because she was doing whatever else outside of it. As for her, what do you call it? Well, she took the herb. She met Killmonger, which means she was accepted to a certain extent by her ancestors to lead and stuff and take the mantle. And I don't think it would have been as impactful if it wasn't Baku or the other chick, Nakia. She does. You're right. She should have fought. She should know how to fight and stuff. Which I'm pretty sure she knows the bare minimum from, I'm assuming, T'Challa. And again, the suit and the herb pretty much do everything. Again, I will admit, if by the third one we don't see any improvement, or wherever she appears next, it will be a problem. But the suit and the herb kind of do everything for already. So all it takes is just her to have the will to fight, I think. For now.
She needs to fight. I mean, you can punch hard and stuff like that, but I don't know. It kind of made it feel weird in the final battle that, somebody as skilled as Namor, who's been around for so many years, knows how to fight, was outbeated by a girl who got powers.
He was dehydrated and stuff. There's reasons for all that.
Okay. Oh, now we're getting into the good stuff. All right. So the final battle. Okay, well, in the final battle. So at the end of the movie, they trap him in the little thing. He's getting dehydrated, right? Correct? They're like, oh, let's take him to the desert. Correct? So he's getting dehydrated, and then eventually he said, I have had enough, and decided to go ahead and rip the ship and start breaking it apart and stuff like that. Why didn't he just do that sooner, first of all? All right, if he was able to do it after minutes of dehydration, why didn't he just do that to begin with? One, he was the strongest. Would have made sense. And then, after being dehydrated, sure, he still went in there. He was still able to hold his own and fight, okay? They land literally close to the beach, okay? For a second, she was even looking around because she did not know where the hell he was. Are you telling me my man's could have not dipped his toes into the water real quick, kind of took a little dive, took a little soak, came back out and whooped the shit out of her? I would have... Come on. You can't tell me that fight wasn't just a setup just to let her win.
No.
Bro, what?
No.
Bro, come on.
Ain't no way.
Come on, dog.
I can't believe you're being one of these people.
Well, okay, go ahead and tell me. Tell me what I'm being like. Go ahead.
Wait. You know what you're being like,
No,
man.
no, go ahead and say it. Come on.
Comment what he's being like. What do you call it? But there's a reason for all that. First, he's dehydrated. He has to assess what's happening. Then he's like, oh, it's the ship. Okay, so he breaks the ship. Shuri prolongs that as long as the ship, while the ship can take him to the desert. They crash. She looks around because she's distraught, obviously. He's not going to take the time to leave his guard down to take a dip when he could just end the fight and then get what he needs afterward.
If he needs to be wet, why not just put his feet in real quick and then get full power, juice up, and then go and get her?
Because that
He was right there by the beach.
you want another boring quick end fight? Is that what you're telling me? You were.
I kind of felt. Hey, keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. Keep it a buck.
You said earlier
keep it a buck.
This movie had lackluster fight scenes. You wanted another one?
Keep it a buck. It was a lackluster fight scene, regardless.
Oh,
it was.
You're unpleased, regardless.
It wasn't a good ending fight. How are you gonna? How the thing is that the movie was supposed to set up this kind of rivalry. He said himself, "Oh, I have millions and thousands of people that can kill Wakanda real quick." Wakanda was like, "Oh, we're not gonna bow down to you." They took a few hundred. Keep in mind, took a few hundred to the ocean, where they're at their strongest. They took the fight to the ocean, and were surprised that they were getting their ass whooped. That's crazy to me. That right there is lazy. And then on top of that, come on, are you kidding me? They are heading towards the desert and literally land right there between land and ocean. Is that supposed to be symbolic or something? No, he was right there. She was confused. She didn't know where he was. He could have. Come on, you can't tell me that he could have easily just went and dipped his toes in.
From a warrior and fighting standpoint, you're gonna turn your back to the enemy to refresh? No.
If that's my source of my power, yes.
No.
Because if I get to the water and she hits me, what's the point? It doesn't even matter. It's not gonna hurt. I'm full power. I'm juiced.
No, that doesn't make.
I'm jacked.
That does not make any sense.
I don't know, man.
And then, the fight was unbalanced. Obviously, they brought to the water. Really surprising because, that's probably like why, but they were hoping for their plan to go correctly. Because who plans to fail? You know what I mean? Like they expected it to go correctly. That's not what happened. Eventually, Shuri wins, gets him to back down, and then the rest is history. But no, there's no way it was lackluster, and there's no way I'd expect Namor to be like, "Oh, her I'm gonna leave my guard down to take a dip real quick." That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know, man. It was kind of a lackluster fight. You can't tell me that it wasn't. Let me ask you this question: do you think it was better than Shang-Chi's bus fight?
Better than Shang-Chi's bus fight?
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the end fight with Namor and Shuri was better than the bus fight in Shang-Chi?
A little bit, but that's two different fights.
Oh, hold on. This is where I'm going. I don't think so. And if you think that even the slightest that Shang-Chi, the opening fight in a movie, is better than a third final battle scene, because the third final battle scene in that movie was pretty good. In this one, it was kind of meh. I would have preferred to see something kind of like what they were doing with Okoye in the beginning of the movie happen at the end of the movie. Black Panther's last fight scene, it was CGI and everything, but that one was a dope fight too. This one was kind of, come on, you can't tell me it was a little
No.
It wasn't a little lackluster. Come on.
No, I think it was better than that first PlayStation 3 looking ass fight. There's no way. And there's no way you can compare Shang-Chi's hand-to-hand combat fighting to that big ensemble piece. Because it looks cool, hand-to-hand combat, and it looks more realistic and stuff, while you feel the stakes are at their highest in the third act in this fight. Oh, is Shuri gonna live?
That's the thing. That's the funny part. I didn't think the stakes were... It didn't feel that way because of how weird the third act was. CGI fest with a whole ocean thing. Like I said, why would they go out in the ocean knowing damn well that that's where they live? Okay. Second, like I said, the fight at the end could have been better. You can't tell me that it couldn't have been better. And the fact, I think when we saw Black Panther is only 12 minutes. 5 minutes was the fight, I think. The ending fight. I don't know, man. I kind of felt like it was kind of lame, and I kind of felt like it was just set up just so she can win.
Nah,
I kind of felt it was kind of lazy, in my opinion. But flaws and all, this movie was a good addition. It could have been great. In my opinion, it wasn't as amazing that it could have been. But Josh, what do you think? And let's hear your rating for the movie.
Rating 9 out of 10. I really like this movie. This is favorite MCU movie. Like, I put this one above Multiverse of Madness. That's how much I really liked it. 9 out of 10 for sure.
9 out of 10. For me, with flaws, gotta give it like an 8. Or 7.5. I'm kind of torn. 7.5. I give it 7.5. I feel like it was a good MCU movie. I kind of like how they handled the grief. The performances was great, but I kind of felt like it was overstuffed. There was a lot going on, a lot that they should have had story-wise, and a lot that they should have maybe kept out. The action was great at times, kind of meh for me at times. I'd give it a solid 7.5. It was good, but I guess the way it's a fitting in my opinion, for Phase 4.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But anyway, well, I liked it. I mean, I obviously enjoyed it. The fight scenes were dope. Like I don't really have any problem with this movie other than some CGI pieces. I love the underwater scenes, which, again, once December comes, I know it's going to be hard because Way of Water's coming out, and I know that movie's going to look 10 times better. But, yeah, I liked it. It was, like, again, just solid movie for me.
I wouldn't put this one above the first Black Panther, though.
I would. There's no way.
Black Panther 2 over first Black Panther?
Yes.
I don't know about that one, G. I don't know. I like the discourse, though. It's great. With that being said, what did you guys think? Did you love the movie? Did you hate it? Did you guys see the flaws that I'm talking about? Am I nitpicking? Y'all let me know, because my brother thinks that I'm wrong. What do you guys think out there? Tell them where they can let us know.
What do you call it? Let us know on YouTube at FilmBros Podcast. TikTok and Twitter, same handle at FilmBros Podcast, and Spotify and Apple Music, again, same handle, FilmBros Podcast.
Yeah. With that being said, that's gonna be the end of it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.
Late.